Welcome back to Let's Be Nerds. This is episode 4, Conspiracy Theory Edition. I'm your host, Stephen J. And once again, I'm joined by my wonderful co-hosts. Gordon, how are you?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm excited about today's show. Miss Kylee, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. I think that this is not something that we had planned on doing initially, but knowing our personalities, it kind of is a natural progression that we would delve into the world of conspiracy theories. And I think we have a lot of stuff that we're going to bring to the table today that's going to be interesting. I kind of have gotten the impression that you guys' theories, you guys, have kind of they cross paths and they overlap. So, with that being said, I'm going to kick it off today, and I'm going to tell you the conspiracy theory that haunts me. And then, Kylee, I'm going to have you take over, and then I think we're going to see why it blends what you two have come up with. So, does that sound good to you guys?
That sounds
All
great.
good.
All right. So, I'm a little bit older than you guys, so maybe this one's a little bit more pertinent to when I grew up. So, do any of you know anything about Princess Diana?
Yes.
I don't know that much personally.
I I don't know if you know who John Mulaney is,
Mm-hmm.
No.
but
Famous writer, comedian, correct?
yes. In one of his specials, he had said that his mother accused him of killing Princess Diana when he was like 13 years old.
What?
I've seen that
Yeah,
skit. That's a good
I
skit.
love it. It's a good
You
skit.
you need to send that to me. Like, is that like is it on a YouTube like
It's on
video?
Netflix.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have to check that out. So, needless to say, Princess Diana was truly what's the meme of Wendy Williams? She's an icon, she's a legend, she is the moment. That meme is so true about Princess Diana because she has transcended even post-mortem. She is still somebody who is talked about, thought about, and revered as truly changing the discourse, not only in her own country, but in globally. And she was a pioneer for people during the AIDS epidemic. She was one of the first people, if not the first, to openly shake hands and embrace people that were affected with AIDS to change the stigma around that disease. She became, as they call her, the people's princess. The royal family has, in all honesty, we could do a whole episode just on conspiracies regarding the royal family because they are not always on the right side of history, perhaps is a good way of paraphrasing it. But Princess Diana stood out because she truly was somebody who embodied the what it meant to be a royal and what it meant to be somebody important and somebody that was highly regarded while still remaining humble and still her famous quote, somebody's got to go out there and love people. And her death was a very untimely situation. She had, by this point, she had divorced Prince Charles, and she was now that that whole situation in and of itself is so scandalous because divorce within the royal family was never something that was accepted. And the queen eventually realized that they were living in such a toxic environment that she allowed and granted for them to divorce. And she, even after that, she was still regarded in such a high way by the public that she almost overshadowed the family as a whole. And where the conspiracies really start is in her death, there are things that just don't add up. And this is, again, a topic that, we could go on for a really long time about, but I'm just going to provide you guys with some of the highlights. So she was originally scheduled to go to Paris, but she was not going to stay as long as she ended up staying. At the time, again, she's now divorced. She was dating a man by the name of Dodi Al Fayed. And the boys, Harry and William, were with her in the beginning of the trip. And they went back and back to London, and she was going to go back as well, but she ended up staying. Well, it was that's the point where it got a little bit suspicious because she ended up staying. And then on the night of August 30th, 1997, she was involved in a very, actually, I want to correct myself. I believe it was the 31st. She was in a very, very severe car accident. And she ended up succumbing to her injuries and passing away that night.
Mm.
What's terrible about this is they were leaving the Paris Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and they were heading back to, I believe, Dodi Al Fayed's apartment. And the paparazzi were claimed to have been outside waiting for their exit because one thing about Diana is a photo of her for the paparazzi was like hitting the jackpot. So they tried to circumnavigate the paparazzi by exiting another door. Well, needless to say, they caught on to their plan and they followed them and they entered. Let me look up the name of this tunnel because I do not want to. Pont de la Alma Tunnel, and I'm probably butchered that. It was shortly after midnight. The paparazzi were in pursuit, and they crashed their Mercedes S280, and it, it was a bad scene. Basically, everyone had passed besides, I believe, her bodyguard at the time, Trevor Reese Jones. He was the only one that survived, but he had, because of the extent of the crash, he had no recollection of what had happened before or after. It was all spotty. Um, her, at the time, boyfriend Dodi Al Fayed had died, as did the driver. Initial reports indicated that the driver, Henry Paul, was severely intoxicated and that that's what led to the crash. But again, the conflicting story comes that it was the paparazzi pursuing them. So at that time, I guess it was taken that it was both factors. Well, later on, after Princess Diana's death, they revealed that she had exchanged notes with her butler, that was formerly the Queen's butler, and she had indicated in a handwritten note that she believed her death would become a situation where her former husband, Prince Charles, um, tampered with her vehicle, specifically the brakes. And when you look back at this and you see the scandal and how the royal family kind of were eclipsed by her popularity, and you see that she was in fear of her life for so long, it raises a lot of questions. It makes you wonder, okay, do we believe the story that first came out? Do we just take that for what it's worth, or do we dive a little deeper? And my conspiracy theory that I'm posing to you guys is I don't believe that it was just, oh, the driver was drunk and the paparazzi pursued them. There's reports of other vehicles being involved and that there was a collision with another vehicle, and that vehicle was taken to a repair shop and totally fixed and repainted in the same night. I don't believe the claims that at the time of the incident, all of the security cameras that were in the tunnel magically stopped working. I don't believe that because there was somebody that had been traveling through the tunnel at, I believe, 11 to 15 minutes prior to the accident, and they received a speeding ticket because the security cameras caught them. Oh, obviously over the speed limit, and they had to pay that fine. But whenever this whole thing breaks, oh, there's no security footage. Everything was down. Something about that just doesn't add up. And another situation that came up is when, in regards to the Mercedes, Mercedes-Benz corporate offered to basically fly in experts and have them go. Obviously, we're talking about the remains of the vehicle, go top to bottom and do an inspection and see maybe this was an issue from the factory, maybe something went wrong, maybe something was missed during a maintenance check. And they refused to allow Mercedes to send in experts. Because you would have to think, obviously, this living legend, Princess Diana, dies in your vehicle. As a brand, your name's
You're
out there
taking a
now.
hit.
Yeah, your name's out there. And they offered it full, like, free of charge. They were flying them in at their expense. Let us look over it. Let us try to determine something. Because, as I'm sure, people within Mercedes were heartbroken over her death to begin with, but let alone that's their namesake on the line.
Oh yeah.
And there's just too many things that have happened in this situation that have not added up to let me just buy the mainstream story. There's rumors that she was at the time pregnant with Dodi's child, and that they were going to be soon announcing an engagement. And as we could really dive into, the royal family is very much about pure bloodlines.
Oh
we
yeah.
we won't
Yeah.
dive into their
I don't want to
potential.
get killed.
We're not going to
Yeah.
dive into their potential Nazi support. We won't do that. But what
We
I'm
will
saying
mention it.
is, what it's kind of odd that so she's now dating somebody who is Muslim, and the idea of the princes having a half brother who is not white could kind of go against their
Oh.
narrative. Could kind of be a quote unquote stain on the bloodline. So there's just too many factors here, and I've kind of given you a brief summary, but there's so much more detail. But I wanted to touch on this because this is an important subject for everyone to know. There's even there's conspiracies at MI6, which is an equivalent to like our FBI, the English equivalent, that they were involved. And Dodi Al Fayed's father, to this day, he will die on this hill that Diana and his son were murdered. And I believe he doesn't get media attention. People call him crazy. They label him this, that, and the other. And whenever he came out with this, they dug up things about his finances and his background, and just basically tried to disparage him. And to me, mainstream media, when they don't want a plot line out there, they will do anything that they can to bring down the person that's calling the questions and asking the
Oh, for
questions.
sure.
Definitely.
So with that being said, that's my conspiracy theory. And much like I said, I will die on this hill because I believe that she would be very much alive if there were not people in higher places that did not want her to be a disruptor. And she's forever the people's princess. And when the world needed her, like, we need her more now than ever, and we were robbed of her.
We were. She was killed. I will firmly believe that. I've believed that since I was little. That Princess
Definitely.
Diana was killed. And like the whole thing, it's just like too big of a coincidence to there not be some shady shit there.
Amen.
I fully agree. To me, it completely sounds like full murder.
There's
Yeah.
just too many loose ends for it to not be something more.
And then
And
for them like to not want Mercedes to come in. That's just weird.
it makes no sense. And I didn't even get into, and like, the reason why I'm not divulging all of the details is this is a video I have planned for the YouTube channel. So I want to save some of my quote unquote aces in the hole for that, but there is 100% proof that the French ambulance service that was responding to the crash. Let me pull this up because I have this in my notes and this is something I want to get right. They did not transport her to the nearest hospital. Let's see here. The emergency officials arrived around 12:30. The ambulance arrived around 12:40, but she did not get moved to put in an actual ambulance until 1:18. The ambulance didn't depart the crash scene until 1:41 a.m. So
What?
when you look at all
So
of these time frames, we're talking about 20, 30-minute gaps. Uh, she did not arrive at the hospital until 2:06 a.m. And the journey from the crash site to the hospital was 26 minutes, where there was a nearby hospital that I want to say was within uh, 4 to 5 miles.
Oh my
They
God.
took her to a further hospital.
That makes no sense at all.
And based on like the French ambulance services policy, from what I have read and researched, they are to administer as much help on scene as possible, but their main it's not quite like our system here in America. Like
Hmm.
if they can fix you on the site, they're going to do it. With the EMS service over there, it's more so we're going to stabilize you and we're going to get you to the hospital because they don't want that time wasted because there's things like internal bleeding,
Hmm.
brain damage, things
yeah.
like that. So their EMS operates a little bit different than ours. But in this one case, they're taking their time. There's all these delays. Make it make sense. It doesn't add up.
That's so weird.
They're definitely trying to cover something up in some way.
Hmm. And we're not going to
Well,
even get into like how long it took the Queen to acknowledge her death because I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm going to save that for the YouTube video, but that whole response was bizarre. And yeah, so
what it sounds like to me with how long they took, maybe they planted a fake body.
don't don't get me started on that because there's this whole TikTok thing where there is a woman who claims that she spotted her in a uh, resort type atmosphere off of British Columbia. Essentially, it's a lot of profile people, the rich, the famous, whatever. They go to this resort. Employees have to sign basically like an NDA and non-disclosure agreement. And she approached this woman and she said, this waitress on TikTok said, "Has anyone ever told you that you look like Princess Diana?" And she was greeted with almost like a laughing, jovial smile, where this person had not been told this. This wasn't the first time this person had heard this. And needless to say, this TikTok person posted this video. It went viral. Her Instagram became flooded with people that live in that area that have spotted this particular woman at shopping centers, at farmers markets.
Oh my
And
goodness.
again, not going to spoil, can't put all the eggs in one basket. So I do have to save some of this for the YouTube video, but I think you guys will be very interested when it comes out to see what else the conspiracy about her potentially having lived through this.
For
It's
sure.
almost like a Johnny Cash-esque thing where he's definitely still alive.
Oh,
Sir, I don't know nothing about
I
no Johnny
never,
Cash.
I never heard of Johnny. I saw
I
that
thought you were gonna
movie.
say I've never heard of Johnny Cash.
No, I've never heard of Johnny Cash
It's
still being alive. I saw
it's
that
either Johnny
movie.
Cash or Elvis. It's one of the two.
I was gonna say, I think
Could be
it's
both.
no, it's Elvis. I think because
Tupac's still alive too.
Yeah,
they're
they're
all
all
like
hanging out.
they all have to be on an island somewhere or like doing something. Maybe they're all in British Columbia at that damn resort with Princess Diana.
I am actually Princess Diana. I've been meaning to tell you guys.
Well, mystery solved.
Yeah, we
Yeah, that.
found her.
We found
Well,
her.
Well, that's the end of this conversation then.
I guess. So, tune into this podcast where we just solve conspiracy theories every episode.
Yeah, featuring Princess Diana.
Yeah, featuring Princess Diana.
If only that. I mean, I'm gonna stop ranting, but like, there's so many of her quotes that like I go to in times of like, okay, I don't feel like being a good person today. I'm like, I'm in a bad mood. I'm in a bad spot, and I don't want to, And I look back at her legacy and what she had to endure, and she's truly one of those people that, for generations to come, will continue to inspire people to be better and to do better. And I just want answers, man. I just want the truth.
Can
So
we
Well,
agree on something?
what?
Gordon is Tupac.
Oh,
why am I Tupac?
I don't know. Just because you say Tupac like that.
Oh,
I don't know about that.
I want to disagree because I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Tupac is?
Like
What?
I know the name, but I never listened to his stuff or like follow him.
This is groundbreaking information. This explains so much.
We literally have to do a true crime episode now on the whole
Tupac and
Tupac.
Biggie.
Yeah, we have to do it all, and we have to make Gordon suffer through it, because if he doesn't know this, like, he needs to know this.
I say
Oh
we do an
no.
entire podcast of us listening to Tupac music and Gordon sitting there.
That's not
Wait, that's
monetizable. We
probably
can't do that.
I was gonna say we definitely don't have the money to pay for the rights for that, but
okay.
I respect the idea.
Okay, it was a good idea in retrospect.
We'll come back to this on episode like 100 when we do have the money for it.
Hopefully, God willing.
If anyone knows where Tupac is, ask him for permission.
Yes, please.
Send us the location on the
Wait, I'm Princess
email.
Diana. I can just like email
Yeah, just
him.
go into his room and ask him real fast for us.
Yeah.
Knock knock. Hey Tupac, how you doing?
What's up?
I'm sure that's exactly how Princess Diana talks.
Yeah, I'm sure you nailed it. You totally had me
know.
convinced.
Yo, what's up, my guy?
How you
All
doing,
right.
Tupac? Okay.
So
Anyways.
I'm going to wrap this up before we dive into like sketch podcast territory. So that is what I bring to the table. Again, I gave you the cliff notes, but I'm telling you, it's a very serious thing that we all need to look into. So with that being said, I'm going to shut up finally, and I'm going to pass it over to Kylie, because I'm very interested, because I know a little bit about what you're going to talk about, but I want you to lay it on me.
Okay, now this has nothing to do with Princess Diana, unless it does.
This
is about the Denver International Airport, and there are multiple conspiracies around the airport as a whole, because it was rebuilt from a different airport. I believe it was Stapleton Airport in around 1995, but there was no reason for another airport to be built. Like, there was nothing wrong with the other one, it wasn't outdated, but nothing. And since it started being built, a lot of people in the area had started theorizing that the airport had secret tunnels, like Nazi secret societies, and it was just crazy, especially because of a lot of the artwork. But I'll dive into it. So a lot of people theorize that it was built by like the New World Order, which I think is like Illuminati. Could someone correct me if I'm wrong?
You are
I
correct.
do believe it is. Yes.
Okay. So apparently the biggest theory is that the airport was built by the New World Order with ties to Nazism. And the airport runways are actually built similar to like a swastika, which I think is super weird. But if you look at photographs, they don't always seem to resemble that shape unless you're really looking for it. But I see a swastika. That's where I'm at with it. But it's just like crazy because people think that they built like underground bunkers for it. And obviously there's no proof, because if anyone's in the underground bunkers, I don't think they're going to be going and blabbing about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But, and then the artwork and everything. Oh my God. Okay. Gotta focus in now, Kylie. Sorry, I'm getting so overwhelmed with all this information. I'm turning into Gordon.
Well, we don't need that. The world
Okay,
only needs one Gordon as a
we
podcast
need
host.
one Gordon, but all right, New World Order. So people think that it was built by the New World Order and that it contains the Illuminati headquarters. People believe that it was built by the Nazi New World Order, but people also believe that the Illuminati headquarters are in its like underground layer. And
Hmm.
a lot of like symbols on the airport have the symbol or like the symbols from the Freemasons. It's like uncanny. And I think that's super weird because why would they incorporate that?
You know, it strikes me that I've read about this that they've used in like some of the artwork references like children dying and like
Yeah,
all of this stuff and there's symbols that trace back to what could be associated to it and it's there's a debate of like did they do it knowingly because they were going to get attention for it or did they do it because they are actually a part of it is essentially what I understand about the debate.
it's just like I will never understand like why why they would be like so oblivious about it. Like
Hmm.
if it was definitely like an Illuminati headquarters, obviously we know nothing about the Illuminati besides they exist.
Hmm.
Is it kind of like to rub it in our faces, like, haha, you don't know anything about us, but we're here sometimes?
Hmm.
Or is it like Denver Airport trying to get some clout?
Maybe it's the Denver airport trying to turn prying eyes away from the truth that's happening there
Maybe.
by throwing up some red herrings for people to fall down when they really are doing something else
so
Gordon,
or
what do
you're
you
covering
think is
up for something
happening
else.
there?
so you think like kind of like a false flag, Gordon? Is that what you're
Yeah,
getting at?
yeah, exactly. Just like a false flag.
What do you
Hmm.
think is going on there? Do you think there's like lizard people?
Well, no, Mark Zuckerberg is the founder of Facebook. We all know where he lives. Lizard
That's
people
true.
are real.
You,
But that's a discussion for another
that's a
time.
whole other can of worms. Well,
Yeah,
well,
we
what do
don't
you
have
got?
time for that today.
Well, what do you guys make about when they did that ad campaign where they like, and I think it was national, it might have been local to their television markets, but they actually did an ad campaign featuring like some of their artwork and referencing the fact that it was so creepy. Like they did a whole marketing campaign around that to like acknowledge the fact that in the zeitgeist, so to speak, like people talked about this. And there's YouTube videos and there's obviously podcasts and different stuff like that about it. They actually did an ad campaign acknowledging that like people thought it was weird. What's that?
Um, if I had to think, if I was Denver Airport wanting to cover up for something, maybe it's them trying to just shove it down everyone's throats a bit more, just to be like, yeah, focus on this stuff. These were really creepy paintings that we have. Aren't they weird? Like, you guys should definitely do look into this more and not look at all the other creepy stuff we're doing behind your back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the fact that you guys know more about my conspiracy theory than I do.
Oh, I
Well,
know nothing about it. I'm just speculating.
and honestly, I have to give a shout out. The YouTuber that got me into this idea of doing like podcast about conspiracy, Kendall Ray. She's has a YouTube channel and she has the Mile Higher podcast. I definitely recommend anyone go and listen to her. She's amazing. The podcast is with her husband Josh and I believe their cousin Janelle. They're wonderful. But how I know about it is just like them talking about it because like everything you brought to the table, Kylie, is so true and so weird. Like people have taken notice and like it's a popular thing because like either either they're just blatantly rubbing it in our face or they're kind of sitting at some CEO's desk making like a joke about how much money they made off of these crazy ad campaigns. Like it's it's wild.
It's like I get so into conspiracy theories. Like, okay, I'm gonna delve off of the Denver one for a minute.
Mhm.
Have you guys ever seen the conspiracy theory that like mattress places are a place where like money laundering takes place?
Yes, I have. I know. Yes.
I love
I
that
know.
theory. Why are there so many mattress
There
places?
is no reason for it. I
No
fully
one
agree
needs
with
all those
you.
mattresses.
No,
And if
Like
like hotels buy mattresses, I feel like they're buying them like from the
the
main
manufacturer.
distributor.
they're getting them
Yeah.
wholesale.
Yeah,
No, they're
they're
not
buying
paying
them in
Yeah.
retail.
bulk.
Yep. I
Oh
know.
my
It
god.
makes no sense.
I
I
should have
fully
just did
agree. It's a
this one.
mafia. It's a mafia.
Mafia.
Yeah,
What?
it's the mafia, in whatever respective place you are, using mattress companies as money laundering places.
Let's start a list of people who are going to kill us.
I
Number one,
know. Royal
the
family.
British, the royal family. Number two, the mafia.
Yeah,
Number
now the
three,
mafia.
I'm going to kill Gordon. That's it.
Listen, I want the Queen Mother to like rap tap tap on my door because I want that discussion. If
I'll take
she's,
her out.
I listen with peace and love. I want to know the answers, and if that means I have to waterboard the Queen of England for 30 minutes to get it out of her that she might have had something to do with it, I'm not above that. I will find these answers for
Well,
us.
Full
see,
disclosure, please don't report us to Parliament anything. This
And
is a joke.
and like
yeah,
yeah,
I'm fully
this is all
joking.
this is a satire and everything's alleged and don't put us on the Interpol list because I was just like reading about how horrible that is. We don't want to be on the Interpol list.
And I
Gordon's
should
probably
say,
already on it.
Yeah.
probably, I should say, Steve, waterboarding probably won't work on someone who was there when God created the universe.
Yeah, that bitch is old.
She is old and like I I know that we have viewers. I know I have viewership in the United Kingdom, and I know that this is a very sensitive subject because there are either people that 100% support the royal family and what it represents, and then there are people that are 100% being like the monarchy is a joke. So, just a
Especially in the
disclaimer,
States.
just a disclaimer, we are not trying to come after if you're on that side, we're not trying to come after the monarchy or any of these people, but like it's humorous and it's worth discussing, I guess.
We are not
Yeah.
going to waterboard the queen.
I
Speak for
wasn't
yourself.
I wasn't gonna say it like outright like that, but we're gonna try not to.
Oh, okay. All right.
I cannot make any promises.
Okay,
I
well,
gotta say, I don't want to get anywhere near her. She scares me.
she. But the thing is like, so then you get to. I'm not to like bring it back to. I apologize to those of you
No, it's
listening because
fine.
we are all over the place. But like the Meghan Markle interview,
Oh
she
my
talked
goodness.
about she talked about how the Queen was so warm to her. And it's like, so is the Queen actually? And then what they call it, the firm. It's like the people behind the scenes that run everything. So it's like that's the people that were horrible to her. So like maybe the monarchy itself isn't actually who to blame. Maybe it's these people that are pulling the scenes behind every like they're the Wizard of Oz. They're behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Illuminati.
Maybe they're funding the Denver airport. Maybe the whole thing is like maybe the firm is actually the Illuminati and the Illuminati is doing the Denver airport.
And the Illuminati's hiding the fact that there's aliens down there.
And that was a perfect segue to Gordon's subject. But guess what, guys? I hate to say it, it's time for an ad read. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from our sponsor, and we will be right back to give you Gordon's theory. Hey there, guys and gals. I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Speak Easily podcast. I know I had a lot of fun recording it. Speaking of, have you ever thought about making your own podcast? It's always been something I wanted to do, but I kept putting it off because I could never find the right platform to host it. That is, until I discovered Anchor. Anchor is an all-in-one recording, editing, and hosting app that makes the process simple. And the best part is it's totally free. And I mean genuinely free. And if you're someone like me who has a love-hate relationship with editing audio, let me tell you this, I was blown away by how user-friendly the in-app editing tool actually is. My favorite part, I must admit, is the distribution. Normally with new podcasts, you have to submit your show to various platforms individually, which can be time-consuming and very frustrating. But with Anchor, they do the legwork for you. They'll submit it to Spotify, Apple, Castbox, Google, and several others with just the click of a button. Plus, unlike other platforms, there is no minimum requirement for listeners so you can monetize your podcast and start earning right away. So, download the free Anchor app available in the App Store or on the Google Play Store, or do what I did and head over to anchor.fm to get started today. Thank you, Anchor, for sponsoring this podcast. I guess this means the next round's on you. I'll drink to that. Okay, so Gordon, you got to lay this on us. What is the alien theory you're bringing to the table here?
Yes, aliens. I personally love aliens, and there's plenty of theories around aliens, whether they are real, whether they're not real, which personally, there is no way in any universe that we are the only planet with living life. There has to be other civilizations out there with aliens on it. I don't know if you
I
two
agree.
agree with me, but there has to be aliens out there.
I think it'd be a little bit egotistical of us as a people to like think we're the only life out there, in my opinion.
Here's
Exactly.
what I think. I think that our evolution is unique to our planet, and that's how it's going to be on all
Yes.
different planets. I don't think there's aliens out there. I don't think there's other humans out there that have developed exactly like us.
Amen.
There's a chance because the universe being infinitely expanding, but it's such a small chance because the
Yeah.
conditions for us are just.
The conditions for us
But
were perfect, but
yes,
Mm-hmm.
but that's bringing us a little more off track. But my theory with aliens is, I guess in general, or if they're real, and the sightings that have been happening the past couple of years. So, over the past few years, there have been plenty of videos put out by Navy personnel, Army personnel, and just everyday goers back and forth to work. But the ones that have really interested me are the ones that the Navy personnel and Army people in general have been posting on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have seen these videos before, but these are videos of pilots in their cockpits recording what looks like a black blur race past them at what they record as Mach 10, which is insanely fast, whizzing by them and disappearing without a trace. And then there's others where it won't show up on radar. And then there will be training missions that the U.S. or Army and Navy will do out in the ocean. And all of a sudden, one person will see this. I think they report it as like a black spherical shape just show up hovering like 20 yards above the water,
Hmm.
hover there for a couple seconds, take off faster than any known vehicle has ever been able to go, and disappear without a trace. And it never showed up on radar or any other close quarters equipment like that.
Hmm.
Which before very late 2018 and pretty much the entirety of 2019 and 2020, the U.S. government has been trying to have always been saying it's not real, it's just fake footage, video to or Photoshop together to make everyone scared. But they came out early to late last year saying that those are truly unidentified objects, that they don't know what they are, and that those videos are undoctored in any way, shape, or form.
Huh.
so weird.
Meaning that the U.S. government has personnel that has footage of UFOs that no country is taking credit for. No country is just coming up and going, that's our technology. This is just what quite literally sounds like aliens coming down and observing our planet to see if maybe they're trying to find a new home. Maybe they fucked up theirs. Sorry.
Fine.
Or maybe they're trying to see if we're worthy enough to come into contact with us and share technologies and see if we're advanced enough for them to come and talk to us.
Hmm.
And doing their research as any good species should do before encountering something completely new and foreign to them.
Now, let me ask you this, Gordon. Do you know who I mean when I say Dr. Stephen Greer?
I know that name, yes.
So he is the one, he founded the Center for the Study of extraterrestrial, I feel like I said that wrong, intelligence. And he's spoken out about like some of the more recent videos that have been acknowledged. And he's saying, from what I understand, he's kind of saying what we're seeing, what they're putting out in the mainstream and acknowledging finally is not even half of what they actually have. And that
Ex-
they're throwing the American people like a bone. Oh, okay,
yes.
here's this. But in reality, they actually have so much more information that they're withholding.
Completely agree with everything that he has said on that fact because there's there's a lot more stuff that the US government have taken, I don't know how to word this, has taken claim of, so to speak, of it being their fault when the mysterious things happen. Like
Mm-hmm.
um maybe like maybe like in California a couple years back, or maybe this is a bit longer than that. These just, I think it was random explosions going on and other unidentified, like, quote unquote military actions that the government said that it was just a training exercise. There's no need to worry. Maybe that was them just covering up for extraterrestrials
Yeah.
coming
Maybe
down
they
and
know.
taking action.
Maybe they know that like extraterrestrials are trying to inhabit our planet and
Yeah,
like they
which
just won't tell us.
Because
which is
imagine
why
what
they
would,
would just try to blow them up as soon as they see them.
Well,
well,
I mean like they're in conspiracy with them. Like
but like
they are in cahoots or whatever.
what I always go back to is like, okay, so like let's imagine a day. Like, okay, let's take a totally hypothetical situation. It's a slow day in the kitchen. We're beginning of working, Gordon. Kylie comes in, she doesn't have any tables, and we're sitting there. And we get some form of a headline on one of our smartphones that, hey, aliens are here, they're real. It's there's the president's about to go hold a press conference and like acknowledge their existence. It's very easy for us to sit here right now and talk about it in this type of conspiracy type setting, but like when you really think about it, how are so many people going to react? Like, how are other people going to react? Because there's so many people that maybe they're religious. They trust their Bible. They trust what they have seen and felt and touched and experienced in their own lives. Them announcing it so abruptly would have to cause some form of like a mass panic, a uh, kind of like a I don't even know what the right word would be, but like
Mhm.
it almost makes sense that they obtained knowledge about their existence and they're slowly like revealing it because just to drop a bomb like that on the general public, that could result in, a run on the banks like we saw in the depression. It could result in a run on the grocery stores where everyone's thinking, oh, this is the end of the world, this is
Well,
bad. There's so many things that I kind of, as much as I want them to be transparent with us, I can understand from like a crisis management standpoint where they can't just abruptly acknowledge everything, if that makes
well,
sense.
let's take let's take your hypothetical world you've made for us, Steve.
Uh-huh.
In that world where they just come straight out tomorrow, let's say this hypothetical world happens tomorrow.
Yeah, because we're
Say
all
they
working
come out,
together tomorrow.
exactly, say they
Yeah.
come out tomorrow and say, aliens are real, there's no need to panic. Two,
Mhm.
immediately, it's granted, it's going to seem like there's more than just two groups, but the entire world is going to boil down into two separate groups.
Mhm.
Those that are get them the heck off of our planet. We are going to murder every single one we see until they leave. And then there's going to be the let's let's learn from them, let's study with them, let's share our technologies and advance as a civilization, which would bring us past, as I don't know if you guys are familiar with this term, the Great Filter, which I can get into in a little bit, but their technology could get us over this great filter, which is a scientific hypothesis that we are either going to hit a great filter where civilization is just going to stop expanding and then we're going to die out, or we've already hit that point and expanded past it, and we're going to hit a different filter than generations before us. But that's for a later discussion. But
I'm gonna jump in real quick, and I'm gonna add a third group. I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna add a third group.
yeah,
There's gonna be a group of people that are so much they would never be a listener of this type of podcast. They would never be in that situation because they are so attuned to their day-to-day life, their religion, their belief system, what they've seen and experienced, that they wouldn't be like, oh, let's go kill all aliens or let's welcome them. They would truly have an identity crisis because everything that they've learned, been taught, believe in would be turned on its head. And those would be people that would truly be in a state of shock, panic, and not know what to do with themselves.
It
yeah.
would dismantle entire religions, societies, like
it would
history.
It would
Mhm.
dismantle every religion.
Honestly,
Literally.
I don't think there's a single religion that covers aliens or any life outside of Earth, to the best of my knowledge.
there are, to my knowledge, there are some Christian faiths that kind of acknowledge that, but it's subtext. It doesn't come right out and say.
It's not saying, hey, we have aliens.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It just alludes to the fact.
I don't know.
which
It's
I
crazy.
I personally would love for aliens to be real. I fully believe they are, and I'd love that within my lifetime we get to encounter aliens in some aspect. I would love for that to happen.
I have a conspiracy theory.
Go shoot.
I think Gordon's an alien.
I was actually gonna say, should we
Oh my gosh.
should we label this Gordon's coming out video where you come out to us as like a what do they call it, a gray? Like you're like actually a gray, and you just like wear a wig and a ball cap to work.
I'm not familiar with that reference.
I
A
mean, his
gray.
head's already big enough.
You don't know what a
Yeah.
gray is?
No, I'm not familiar with that
That's
reference.
that's one of the alleged breeds of aliens. They're small in stature. I think that they would only ever get up to like 4 foot or 5 foot. I'm gonna get roasted in the comments because I know I'm gonna do this wrong. But they look like okay, uh, not to dumb it down for you, but like
Please dumb it down.
you've seen American Dad.
Yeah.
So Roger the alien,
Okay.
he's gray in color. He's small in stature. He has a bigger head. The only difference,
Sounds just like Gordon.
right?
Really
And
funny.
conspiracy theory within the conspiracy theory. But the only difference is I believe grays have black eyes, whereas Roger is like cartooned and animated,
Yeah.
obviously. But like that's what he's based off of, what people claim that they have seen or witnessed and like whatever, that's the type of alien is a gray.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't have much of the termage down. I just more general information for me when it comes to aliens.
Here's my new favorite word, termage.
Termage. Are we
Where did
roasting
that come
Gordon about
from?
his linguistic skills?
Yeah, is it because you're an
Okay,
alien?
can you guys stop using big words, please? I feel left out of the conversation now.
Is it because you're an alien? Is that why you don't English well?
That's exactly why I don't speak the English.
Here's my theory, and here's my proof.
Okay.
Gordon got a big head.
It is massive, yeah.
Egotistically and physically. It's
Yes.
all there.
Yes.
Number two.
I see. Really, I am Roger from American Dad. That's not CGI. That's what I actually look like.
Okay,
You're
so we
just
got
not as
Princess
funny.
Diana. Yeah, that's for sure. It's because
No,
it's
my
scripted.
character. I haven't gotten through my character development yet.
It's okay.
So we got Princess Diana, that's me, and Gordon's Roger.
So
from
who am
Family
I? Who am I
Stephen
imposing as?
J.
You are Elvis
Do you wanna-
Presley.
I'm not. Oh, please listen. I'm not gonna like. What did he do that was like so gross? He like ate his like bacon and mayonnaise sandwiches and stuff. Like I might have.
Yeah.
I beat my eating disorder. Like, let's not put me back into that box. Thank you very much. I want somebody like cool. I want
You can be
like,
Beyonce.
oh well, she's definitely Illuminati.
Yeah, exactly. So it
So
kind of
was
ties
Oprah
in.
Winfrey
Mm.
and
You
What
remember
is,
Steve
that whole thing
Harvey
with Oprah Winfrey
and
and like
Ellen.
they claim that like she kept like children in her house or something?
hmm
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, that could be a whole other episode, is like discussing like the celebrity versus like young children thing, and like how that's a theory of like there's like a blood thing, or like a fear of
Yeah, it's
like
a they
As long as
drink.
I get to bring up Spicy.
androchromin, I believe is what it's called, when they're like
Yeah,
in fear of dying, and then they release like an adrenaline that like helps keep. We're gonna get so roasted in the comments for this episode, because
Yeah,
like
we are.
I think that we are touching on so many things that like people are gonna be like, wow, you guys are just like, it's like a potluck of
You guys are
theories.
scatterbrained.
this is what happens when we actually sit down and have conversations that aren't relatively figured out beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of roasting us in the comments, enlighten us. Like, tell us about it. Tell us where we like dropped the ball, and but like nicely. Please don't,
Here's
And
the only rule.
what?
Don't roast me, roast Gordon.
Gordon. At the end of the day, it's open season on Gordon.
I don't care what you say. You can say you want to waterboard Gordon. It's fine. Not the queen.
Not the
And everyone
queen.
who wants to join my gang, we're gonna just talk shit on the other two.
You don't got
Oh,
shit to talk, buddy.
all five of you will have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All the other Reddit users who work in kitchens. I can't wait.
R
We are going to
slash
unite.
r/gray alien kitchen life. uh, no,
What
I
is this
mean,
flat spatula thingy?
what's the late great Joan Rivers had a comment about Oprah that just came in my head, and I just can't remember it. It's like, what are the three things that what can you see from space, from like, you can on Earth, you can see the Great Wall of China, and what else
No,
can you
you
see?
can't.
The Grand Canyon.
Nope.
Listen,
Okay,
You
Gordon,
can't.
we don't
You
need your
can't.
facts.
but
You
it's
can't see. You cannot see either of those from space.
but it's like a bit.
Gordon, I'm gonna kick you in your head.
I'm setting up a bit from the late great Joan Rivers that will tie in here. But like, what is it that like people say you can see from space? The Great Wall and the Grand Canyon, right?
The Great Wall, the Grand Canyon.
I don't know.
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, the late great Joan Rivers used to say the three things you can see from space: the Great Wall, the Grand Canyon, and Oprah Winfrey's ass.
Period.
And
Ashley should.
that's another thing. We should do a whole thing on God,
Comedics.
comedians that have passed before their time, that were, I believe, killed. And
Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
Joan is one of them. Robin is one of them.
Number one, me. It's coming. I am the ultimate celebrity that is gonna get killed.
I don't think you're going to get killed.
And you say I have a big head.
Listen, Gordon. If Gordon is not in the next podcast, he's gonna be on that episode.
Okay.
Spoiler for our true crime episode.
Before we, Jesus God, yeah, true crime. Who killed who in podcast staff? It'll be great.
Actually,
Over.
we can't say anything about the podcast because then that'll draw suspicion to us, Steve.
I mean, I didn't say anything.
Okay, we don't know nothing.
I'll take it out in post. It's fine.
Okay.
I think we should probably backpedal a little bit back into our conspiracies.
I mean, we're starting a conspiracy upon ourselves. Like, talk about being meta. Talk about being meta. Anyway, you did have another topic that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
regarding
I
gaming.
guess.
It kind of regards game. It is linked to gaming. I was going to try to segue off of my previous topic, but that didn't work out. So it's just, I'm pretty sure it revolves around War Thunder, and
What's that?
I'm sure you two don't know what War Thunder is.
No.
So there's War Thunder, World of Tanks, and one other game I can't remember the name of, but they are open world, like. You get in a tank, you go around shooting people, and it's like a battle royale in tanks. But with War Thunder, you can be in tanks, airplanes, ships, helicopters, and you just have a giant like war between two teams. Now, every game in this category gets made fun of for not being accurate to real tanks because that information is very classified, like extremely classified. Like you could probably
Why?
die for leaking it. Well, because say I am the United States and you and Steve are
Sorry,
China and
bigot.
Russia.
I call
I'm
China.
I'm England. I'm taking over the monarchy. Didn't you
Actually,
hear the
wait.
first half of
Okay,
this
Can
episode?
I be
that's right.
Russia? They're like really badass.
Okay, Kylie's Russia, Steve is
England.
England. Say I, the United States, walk into a meeting between the three of us and go, "Hey guys, these are my specifications for my tanks. Here you go. You
Be
guys
very
now
nice
know
of you.
every single way to counteract my tank and destroy it if we were to ever get into another engagement." So it is very bad for that stuff to get leaked. Which brings me on to there is this twice in War Thunder history eh, tank classified tank schematics have been leaked to the developers of the game, telling them that they are wrong on the design of their tanks. Not saying the armor isn't thick enough, not saying the gun isn't right, saying that just the tank doesn't look correctly, and then sending them classified government documents proving that they are right.
What?
Meaning that
Excuse me.
meaning that somehow some nerdy gamer got his hands on classified government information, decided, oh, screw this. You guys are wrong about this tank, and here's my proof, and sends it to him. Which, coincidentally, I think they were both for Russian tanks.
Hmm.
Which
My
could,
tanks.
which leads into my theory of perhaps it's a spy from the USA, China, England, somewhere leaking information on the enemy's tanks and specifications through the video game
So
for
that
other people so
other
that
intelligence agencies pick it up.
yes, and are able to defend against it.
That is such a niche conspiracy theory, but I love it. Like,
Because I'm pretty sure that the tanks in question that were like said to be wrong and then those documentation were leaked were some pretty formidable tanks.
huh.
So with the documentation leaked, it gives if it got it into the wrong hands, that's like that tank can never be used again in battle.
Well, it could, but maybe not as effectively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's a list of people that we are now going to get killed by.
The Kremlin.
Anyone who watches this podcast because they
Yes.
don't like us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Parliament, the Queen of England specifically.
She's literally
Yeah.
she's
She's
gonna
going to show up at your
show up at the
door.
door, and I don't want that smoke.
MI6,
That's
the entire
England.
Illuminati,
No, it won't be the entire Illuminati. It'll just be their hitman.
Russia, the whole country,
I can
I
believe that.
and any spy that decides to listen.
and I mentioned Interpol, and so that's gonna probably red flag this in the algorithm. So we're gonna probably end up on the Interpol no-fly list. So if we try to evade murder and let's say fly to another country, we'll be detained in like Singapore for 6 hours, and it'll
I
be
can
great.
swim. Y'all know how to swim, right?
I know how to swim.
You guys don't
Nope.
got hood tendencies? You don't know how to swim?
I'm joking. I do know how
Oh.
to
I was going to
swim.
say, Gordon got hood tendencies.
Oh my.
Well, I think this is a good spot to leave it, I guess, if there is one. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think there will be.
I,
Uh,
I
There
think
never
this
will be.
episode it would best be described as a little bit of a hot mess, but I love it. And
chaotic.
I think what's nice is we can venture from scripted to unscripted, and we can show more of our personalities. And I hope that, like, as the listener, you can vibe with us and just understand that not everything has to be so meticulous, because this is for fun. This is something that we are proud to share in common as friends, and we want to share with you guys. And I hope you enjoyed listening. Kylee, what's your thoughts on the episode? Are you stand by your conspiracy theories?
I stand by every single one of my conspiracy theories, and um, fuck England. Oh, Kylie
Well,
swears.
we'll take it out in post. Gordon, Gordon, how do you feel?
I fully stand behind my theories and conspiracies, but I am more than willing to learn more about them if I made any mistakes.
Absolutely. Educate us, drop us a comment, leave us a rate, a review. Be kind because we're new. We love it. We're here to we're here to just have fun. And I think the top things here are aliens are real. Uh the Denver
Gordon's an
airport,
alien.
Gordon's an alien. The Denver airport is sus. Princess Diana was murdered.
Being still alive.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. So there, that's where we'll leave you.
And the Queen of England is scary,
She's a badass bitch, and she don't take no
and I'm
prisoners. And
scared of her.
if you don't see me, and if I'm not here for the next recording, call somebody.
If
If
she
you're not
doesn't
at
show
work
up to work
tomorrow,
tomorrow, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
like that
sorry.
me and Gordon said that at the same time.
That like I feel like you just spoke that in the universe. I'm gonna like hear like a knock on my door. It's gonna be that bitch in like her house coat trying to fist fight me, and I'm gonna lose. All right.
She's gonna show up in a hat.
And as always, we want to her damn hats. I can't. As always, we do want to thank Anchor, because without them, this would not be possible. And if you are considering starting a podcast, please reach out to them. Please download their app. And if you're listening through their app, leave us a voice memo. You might be featured in the next episode. We'd love to hear your feedback. We are building a community, and we can't thank you enough. And we love being nerds with you guys. So until next time, we'll see you then.
this episode of Let's Be Nerds is hosted and produced by Gordon A. Bryant and Stephen J. McLean. Today's co-host was Kylie Gregg, our social media manager. Let's Be Nerds is a production of Speak Easily Productions. Let's Be Nerds is hosted and sponsored by Anchor.fm. To keep up with the latest about our show, follow us on Twitter at Let's the letter B Nerds, or join our Discord server, which will be linked in the description box below, along with our Patreon. Also, a special thanks to Robert V. Jacobs for composing our theme song. You can follow his Instagram at Bobby_Specter. Also check out Stephen J's YouTube called The Speak Easily with Stephen J. You can also find him on Twitter and Facebook under the same handle, or on his Insta under Speak Easily Stephen J.